The sky turned red on a warm June day in 2087. People all over Earth looked up and saw strange shapes blocking the sun. These were not clouds. They were ships, enormous ships that stretched for miles across the sky. Calls flooded emergency lines. News stations cut their regular shows. The internet exploded with videos of the strange visitors. Alan Wright stood outside his lab at NASA, squinting up at the massive objects. His fellow scientists gathered around him, some taking readings, others simply staring in shock. "Are those what I think they are?" asked Paul, his research assistant. Alan nodded slowly. "I believe we're looking at extraterrestrial spacecraft." For years, Alan had studied signals from deep space, searching for signs of alien life. Now the proof hovered above them, enormous and undeniable. He pulled out his phone and called his wife. Samantha Wright was in the middle of a training exercise when the alert came through. As a lieutenant in the United States Space Force, she had prepared for many scenarios, but not this one. Her commander ordered all pilots to their ships. Within minutes, she was strapping into her fighter, preparing to intercept the unknown craft. "Be careful," Alan said over the phone. "We have no idea what they're capable of." "I love you," Samantha replied before ending the call. Across the world, military forces scrambled to respond. Fighter jets took off from bases in every country. World leaders met in emergency sessions. The United Nations called for calm while they attempted to establish communication with the visitors. The alien ships remained silent for 23 hours. Then, without warning, they broadcast a message to every electronic device on Earth. The message played on phones, computers, televisions, and radios in perfect English and every other human language. "People of Earth, we are the Zellarians of the Galactic Hegemony. Your planet is now under our protection and control. Resistance will result in necessary correction. Compliance will be rewarded. That is all." The message repeated 3 times before stopping. Then smaller ships began to descend from the larger vessels. Alan raced to get home. The roads were packed with cars. People were fleeing cities, afraid of what might happen next. It took him 6 hours to reach the small house he shared with Samantha outside of Houston. She wasn't there. Her unit had been deployed to intercept the smaller craft approaching major cities. That night, Alan watched the news in horror as the first battles began. Human fighters engaged the alien ships over New York, London, Beijing, and dozens of other locations. The fights didn't last long. Earth's most advanced weapons barely scratched the alien vessels. The Zellarian ships fired strange beams of light that cut through military aircraft like they were made of paper. By morning, Earth's air forces were decimated. The Zellarians began landing in major cities. Troops in sleek armor marched out of their ships. They didn't immediately attack civilians, but anyone who resisted was quickly subdued with weapons that fired energy instead of bullets. 3 days later, Samantha finally came home. Her fighter had been shot down during the initial engagement. She had ejected just in time and spent days hiding and making her way back. "They're everywhere," she told Alan, her face dirty and cut. "Our weapons don't work against them. It was a massacre." Over the next few weeks, the Zellarians established control centers in every major city. They appointed a governor for Earth, a tall blue-skinned alien named Zexitol, who addressed the planet through forced broadcasts. "The Galactic Hegemony welcomes Earth as its newest resource world," Zexitol announced. "Your cooperation will make this transition peaceful. You will provide labor and resources for the greater good of the hegemony. In return, we will share certain technologies and ensure your species survives." The world's governments tried to fight back. They launched nuclear missiles at the alien motherships. The missiles never reached their targets. They simply disappeared mid-flight as if erased from existence. 2 months after the arrival, most organized resistance had been crushed. The Zellarians began building massive processing facilities. They stripped entire regions of resources. They drafted humans for work in these facilities and for transport to other worlds. Alan used his position as a scientist to get assigned to a research facility. He hoped to learn anything that might help humanity fight back. Samantha joined the growing underground resistance, using her military training to organize small groups of fighters. Meanwhile, In the Gobi Desert, Lisa Collins made a discovery that would change everything. Lisa was an archaeologist who had been studying ancient ruins when the invasion happened. Cut off from civilization, she continued her work, hoping to avoid the aliens' attention. Deep under the desert sand, she uncovered a chamber filled with strange writing. The symbols showed humans standing alongside enormous beings that seemed to bend reality around them. The beings were not Zolarians. They were something else, something much more powerful. Lisa carefully documented everything. The writings appeared to be over 10,000 years old, yet they contained mathematical formulas and diagrams that looked surprisingly advanced. One series of symbols kept repeating, a sequence that Lisa began to translate as the calling or the summoning. As Lisa worked to understand the ancient text, the situation on Earth grew worse. 6 months after the invasion, human governments existed only as puppets of the Zolarians. People were processed for work assignments. Those who resisted disappeared. Food was rationed. Hope was fading. Alan managed to send encrypted messages to Samantha through the Resistance network. They shared what information they could. Alan learned that the Zolarians feared something they called the Old Ones, entities that had once ruled the galaxy before disappearing eons ago. When Samantha mentioned this to a fellow Resistance fighter, he connected her with Lisa. Through careful secret communications, Lisa shared her findings with them. "I think the ancient humans knew how to contact beings more powerful than the Zolarians," Lisa wrote. "Beings that might help us if we can figure out how to reach them." 9 months after the invasion, Alan, Samantha, and Lisa met in secret at an abandoned mining facility. Lisa brought her translations and rubbings from the ancient chamber. Alan brought what he had learned about Zolarian technology. Samantha brought hope and determination. "If these cosmic entities exist," Alan said as they studied the ancient diagrams, "and if our ancestors really could summon them, then we might have a chance." "The Zolarians are planning something big," Samantha added. "They're building atmosphere processors. They're going to change our air to match their homeworld. We don't have much time." Lisa pointed to a complex diagram showing a structure with specific alignments. "This is how they did it. They built devices at precise locations to open what they called the paths between stars. We would need to recreate this using modern technology." As they talked late into the night, a plan began to form. It would be dangerous. It might not work. But as Governor Zexatul announced the beginning of Earth's atmospheric conversion, they knew they had to try. Humanity needed a miracle. Perhaps the answer lay not in fighting the Zolarians directly, but in summoning something they feared: cosmic entities from beyond the stars. 1 year passed since the Zolarians took control of Earth. Life had changed completely. The aliens divided humans into work groups. Some mined resources from the planet's crust. Others worked in factories building parts for alien ships. Everyone served the hegemony now, but not everyone obeyed. Hidden in mountains, forests, and abandoned places, small groups fought back. They called themselves the Resistance. Jack Donovan led one of the largest resistance cells. He had been a soldier before the invasion. Now he led raids against Zolarian supply lines. His team stole weapons, food, and information. They moved constantly to avoid capture. "We hit the storage depot at sunrise," Jack told his team as they hid in an old tunnel beneath Chicago. "Get in, take what we need, and get out before they can respond." His second-in-command, Kate Monroe, checked her stolen Zolarian stun pistol. "The docks need those power crystals, Jack. We can't fail this. Time." Kate was referring to the secret project led by Alan Wright and Lisa Collins. Over the past year, they had gathered a team of scientists working to understand the ancient summoning ritual. They needed special materials for their work, materials only the Zolarians had. Before dawn, Jack's team moved through the ruins of Chicago. The Zolarians had converted downtown into a massive storage facility. Robotic guards patrolled the perimeter. Jack's team had learned how to disable these guards without setting off alarms. Kate slipped behind one robot and attached a small device to its back. The device sent a pulse that froze the robot's systems. Jack motioned the team forward. Inside the facility, they found rows of crates filled with equipment. They had a list of items to find, Most important were the power crystals, small blue, stones that the Zolarians used to power their advanced technology. Found them, whispered Steve, one of Jack's men. He held up a container with glowing blue crystals inside. Suddenly, alarms blared. Lights flashed red. The team had been discovered. "Move!" Jack shouted. "Back to the tunnel!" They ran as Zolarian guards flooded into the facility. Energy beams shot past them, hitting walls and creating smoking holes. Kate fired back, giving the others time to escape. Jack grabbed her arm. "We got what we came for, let's go." They sprinted through the ruins, dodging beams and jumping over fallen buildings. 2 team members were hit and fell. Jack wanted to go back for them, but knew he couldn't. The mission had to succeed. 5 of the original 8 team members made it back to the tunnel. They sealed the entrance and moved through the darkness, following the path they had memorized. Hours later, they reached the resistance base hidden beneath an old nuclear power plant. The base buzzed with activity. People worked on communications equipment, weapons, and medical supplies. In the center of the base, Alan Wright and Lisa Collins had built a strange device. It looked like a mix of ancient stone designs and modern technology. The device had 5 arms extending from a central platform. Each arm pointed in a different direction. "We got them," Jack said, handing the container of crystals to Alan. Alan's face lit up. "These are exactly what we need. Now we can finish building the quantum resonance array." Lisa studied the ancient texts spread across a table. According to these writings, the ancients called this device the bridge between worlds. It uses Earth's natural energy fields to open pathways to places beyond our universe. "Places where these cosmic entities live?" Kate asked. "Yes." Lisa nodded. "The texts call them the architects. They shaped stars and planets. They existed before the first galaxies formed, and they had a special connection to early humans." Meanwhile, on the Zolarian command ship orbiting Earth, Governor Zextol received news of the raid. "Another attack by these primitives," he hissed to his commanders. "This resistance must be crushed completely." An officer approached and bowed. "Governor, we have detected unusual energy readings from several locations. They match patterns in our ancient warning records." Zextol's eyes narrowed. "The convergence protocol? Impossible. These humans couldn't possibly know about that." "The readings are weak but growing stronger," the officer continued, "and they match exactly what our records warn about." Zextol stood. "Find these energy sources and destroy them immediately, and accelerate the atmospheric conversion project. We must make this planet uninhabitable for humans within 1 year, not 5 as planned." Back at the resistance base, Alan inserted the power crystals into the array. The device hummed to life. Blue light flowed through channels carved into its surface. "It's working," he whispered, "but we need 4 more arrays placed at specific points around the planet. The ancient texts are clear. We need 5 points of contact to create the full pattern." Samantha Wright entered the room. She had become a key leader in the resistance, coordinating cells across North America. "The other teams are in position: Australia, Russia, Brazil, and Egypt. They're waiting for the signal to activate their arrays." "We need to test this first," Alan said. "Just a small connection to make sure the calculations are correct." Lisa nodded. "A brief pulse that won't attract attention." Alan adjusted the controls. The blue light pulsed brighter. The air in the center of the array seemed to shimmer and bend. "Beginning test sequence," Alan said. He typed commands into a computer connected to the array. The 5 arms of the device glowed brighter. The air rippled like water. For a brief moment, everyone in the room felt strange, as if something was looking at them from somewhere far away. Then the device powered down. The test was complete. "Did it work?" Jack asked. Alan checked the readings. "Yes, we established a momentary connection. It was tiny, barely a whisper across dimensions, but it worked." "Did anything hear us?" Kate asked. Lisa looked troubled. "I don't know. But the ancient texts say the architects always listened for the call of their human allies." Later that night, scientists around the world reported strange astronomical events. Stars flickered in patterns never seen before. Aurora-like lights appeared in places far from the poles. Something had changed in the fabric of space around Earth. The Resistance leadership met to discuss the next steps. The raid had cost them lives and exposed one of their operations. The Zalarians would be looking for them with renewed determination. We need to activate all 5 arrays simultaneously, Alan explained. The full ceremony requires precise timing and the exact words from the ancient texts. The Zalarians know something is happening, Samantha added. They've increased patrols and security around their main facilities. Jack looked at the maps showing Zalarian troop movements. We won't get another chance at this. If we're going to do it, it has to be soon. 3 days, Lisa said. In 3 days, Earth's position in space will align with the coordinates in the ancient texts. That's when we need to activate the arrays. As they planned, none of them noticed the small distortions appearing in the air around the base. Tiny ripples in reality that appeared and vanished like bubbles. The test had done more than they realized. Something from beyond the stars had indeed heard their whisper, and it was now listening very carefully. The 3 days passed quickly. Too quickly for some, not fast enough for others. The Resistance worked day and night to prepare. They moved supplies to each of the 5 array sites. They set up defenses. They practiced the activation sequence. Again and again, Alan barely slept. He checked calculations, adjusted equipment, and worried about what might go wrong. Samantha found him early on the 3rd morning, slumped over his desk. You need to rest, she said softly, placing a hand on his shoulder. Alan looked up with tired eyes. I can't. If we make even one small mistake, the arrays won't connect properly. We might never get another chance. We won't fail, Samantha said. Everyone knows what to do. In space, the Zalarian fleet moved into new positions. Governor Zek's tool had ordered more ships to Earth. Something about the energy readings worried him deeply. He stood on the bridge of his command ship looking down at the blue planet. Status report, he demanded. A Zalarian officer approached. We have located one of the energy sources, Governor. It appears to be in what humans call Colorado, in their former United States. Prepare the Void Spear, Zek's tool ordered. If these humans are attempting what I fear, we must end this immediately. The Void Spear was the hegemony's planet-killer weapon. It could crack a world in half. Using it meant destroying Earth's value as a resource planet. But Zek's tool was willing to make that sacrifice if necessary. At the Colorado base, Jack and Kate prepared the defense teams. They knew the Zalarians would find them eventually. Their job was to keep the enemy away from the array long enough for Alan and Lisa to complete the ritual. They're coming, Jack told his fighters. Today we make our final stand. Not just for us, but for all humans everywhere. Kate checked her weapons. How long do we need to hold them off? Alan says the ritual takes 30 minutes once it starts, Jack replied. We need to give them that time no matter what. Outside, lookouts spotted the first Zalarian ships approaching. Small, fast attack craft designed for ground assault. Behind them came larger troop carriers. They found us, Jack said into his radio. Everyone to positions. The show is about to start. Inside the main chamber, Alan and Lisa made final adjustments to the array. The blue crystals pulsed with energy. Samantha coordinated with the other 4 sites around the world. Australia is ready, she reported. Russia is ready. Brazil and Egypt too. All arrays are powered up and waiting for the signal. Alan nodded. We start exactly at noon. The Earth's magnetic field will be aligned perfectly with the cosmic coordinates from the ancient texts. Lisa held the translated ritual in her hands. The words were strange, a mix of mathematical formulas and concepts that didn't quite fit into human language. She had practiced them for months. As noon approached, the first explosions shook the base. The Zalarians had arrived and were attacking the outer defenses. Jack's voice came through the radio. We've engaged the enemy, don't worry about us, just do what you need to do. At exactly noon, Alan activated the main array. The blue crystals glowed brightly. Energy flowed through the carved channels. The air in the center began to ripple and bend. Now, Alan told Lisa, She began to speak the ritual words. As she spoke, the other 4 teams around the world did the same, 5 voices speaking in perfect sync, guided by the countdown Alan had programmed. Outside, the battle raged. Jack and his fighters used the narrow tunnels to ambush Zalarian troops. They fired stolen alien weapons and fell back, again and again, but there were too many enemies. Slowly, the defenders were pushed back toward the main chamber. In space, the Void Spear moved into position. Its massive energy collectors began to charge. On the command ship, Governor Zek's tool watched the weapons' power levels rise. "Time to firing capability?" he asked. 20 minutes, Governor, an officer replied. Zek's tool smiled. "Good. Soon this problem will be solved permanently." Inside the main chamber, the ritual reached its midpoint. The 5 arrays across the planet pulsed in rhythm. Energy patterns formed in the air above each device. These patterns began to connect, forming a global web of light that most humans couldn't see. But the Zalarians could see it. Their ship's sensors detected the growing pattern with alarm. Emergency warnings sounded throughout their fleet. "Governor," a sensor officer shouted. "The energy pattern, it's forming a convergence gate." Zexatul's face showed fear for the first time. "Impossible. How could these primitives know the ancient protocol?" "The pattern is growing stronger," the officer reported. "Our systems calculate breakthrough in approximately 12 minutes. Accelerate the Void Spear charging sequence," Zexatul ordered. "We must fire now, ready or not." In the Colorado base, Jack and Kate fought at the final defensive position outside, the main chamber. Many of their fighters had fallen. Solarian troops pressed forward relentlessly. "We can't hold much longer," Kate shouted over the noise of battle. Inside, the array began to shake. Metal parts strained as energy levels rose beyond their design limits. Sparks flew from control panels. "The power levels are too high," Alan said, working frantically to stabilize the system. The arrays weren't built to channel this much energy. Samantha checked the readings. "The other sites report the same problem. The arrays are breaking down." "We have to keep going," Lisa insisted, continuing the ritual words even as the chamber shook around them. Suddenly, all the lights went out. The backup generators had failed. For a moment, everyone thought they had failed. Then something strange happened. The arrays continued to glow, but not with blue light from the crystals. Now they shone with a light that seemed to come from nowhere, and everywhere at once, a light that had no color humans could name. "It's not us powering the arrays anymore," Alan whispered in awe. "Something else is providing the energy." Outside, the Zalarian troops suddenly stopped attacking. Their weapons failed. Their communications went silent. They stood frozen as if time itself had stopped for them. Jack and Kate cautiously moved forward. They waved hands in front of the aliens' faces. No response. "What's happening?" Jack asked. In space, the same effect spread through the Zalarian fleet. Ships lost power. The Void Spear's charging sequence halted. On the command ship, Governor Zexatul watched in horror as reality itself seemed to bend around his vessel. Back in the main chamber, the air above the array tore open. Not just there, but at all 5 sites around the world. What came through these tears defied description. They were not creatures or beings in any sense humans understood. They were more like living mathematics, geometry that thought, patterns that were aware. The architects had arrived. As the first of these cosmic entities fully entered Earth's reality, every human on the planet felt a presence in their mind. Not a voice exactly, but a sense of recognition, of coming home after a long absence. The architects recognized humanity as their long-lost allies, and they were not pleased to find them enslaved. The architects spread across Earth's sky like living constellations. They moved in ways that hurt the eyes to watch. Where they passed, reality itself seemed to ripple and change. Some looked like vast geometric shapes that folded in impossible ways. Others appeared as swirling masses of light and darkness mixed together. No two were exactly the same, yet all gave the feeling of ancient, immense intelligence. In the Colorado base, Alan, Lisa, and Samantha stared in wonder at the being that hovered above their array. It pulsed with colors they had never seen before. Its form changed constantly, like a living kaleidoscope. It worked, Lisa whispered. They came. The being turned what might have been its attention toward them. Suddenly, all three humans felt a presence in their minds. Not exactly words, but clear meanings formed in their thoughts. We remember you, the presence seemed to say. Long ago, we guided your ancestors. We helped shape your world. Then we had to leave. Now you have called us back. Alan tried to speak but found no words. Instead, he simply thought his questions. Who are you? What are you? We are the architects, came the reply in his mind. We exist across many dimensions. We helped birth stars and planets. We watched life develop. Your kind was special to us. We saw potential in you. Lisa stepped forward. We called you because we need help. Our world has been invaded. We see, the architect responded. We see everything now. Your oppressors are known to us, the Zilarians, the hegemony. They have forgotten the old warnings. Outside the base, Jack and Kate watched as the frozen Zilarian troops began to float upward. All across Earth, the same thing happened. Every Zilarian soldier, worker, and official was lifted into the air by an invisible force. In orbit, the Zilarian ships were pulled from their positions. The mighty fleet that had conquered Earth was now helpless, caught in the grip of powers they could not fight. On the command ship, Governor Zextol screamed orders that no one could follow. Systems failed, weapons would not fire. The ship itself began to move not under its own power but dragged by something much stronger. Emergency protocols, he shouted. Activate the dimension disruptors. An officer tried to reach the controls but could not move. We cannot, Governor. Our bodies no longer respond to our commands. The command ship descended through Earth's atmosphere. It should have burned up, but something protected it. The massive vessel came to rest hanging in the air above the Colorado base, suspended by powers beyond Zilarian science. In the main chamber, the humans felt the architect communicating with them again. We will speak with your enemy. You should witness this. Suddenly, Alan, Lisa, Samantha, Jack, and Kate found themselves standing on an empty plain under an open sky. The Colorado mountains were visible in the distance. The Zilarian command ship floated above them. Before them stood Governor Zextol and several high-ranking Zilarians, their blue skin pale with fear. Around this strange gathering, multiple architects hovered, their impossible forms shifting and changing constantly. Zilarian, came a thought that everyone present could understand. You have broken the ancient covenant. Zextol fell to his knees. Great ones, we did not know this world was under your protection. The records were lost ages ago. Not lost, replied the architect. Hidden by your ancestors. They feared our return. The humans watched in amazement as images appeared in the air between them and the Zilarians. The images showed ancient history, how the architects had once guided many species including early humans and Zilarians, how the Zilarians had grown jealous of human potential and tried to destroy them, how the architects had punished the Zilarians, but then retreated to their home dimension to avoid a greater cosmic conflict. You knew, the architect continued. Your oldest records contain the warnings. You chose to ignore them. Zextol trembled. The hegemony has ruled the galaxy for 50,000 years. We did not believe the old stories. Now you see the truth, the architect responded. Now you will face judgment. The governor rose to his feet. Desperation made him bold. We still have weapons you cannot imagine. The quantum bomb in my ship can disrupt dimensional entities. Even you must follow certain cosmic laws. With a quick motion, Zextol activated a device on his wrist. On the command ship, something powerful began to charge. The architects did not seem concerned. One of them made a simple gesture. The command ship vanished. Not exploded, not destroyed. It simply wasn't there anymore. Zextol's eyes widened in horror. What have you done? Your vessel now exists in a loop of time, the architect explained. It continuously disintegrates and reforms. For those inside, a single moment of terror repeats forever. This is more mercy than your kind showed to others." The remaining Zilarians fell prostrate on the ground. "We surrender," one of them said. "The hegemony surrenders Earth to its rightful protectors." The architect's presence seemed to intensify. "Not just Earth," they communicated. "Your empire's time of conquest is ended. A new covenant begins today." As this happened, people all over Earth felt the architects communicating with them. Everyone received the same message, regardless of language or location. They learned about humanity's ancient connection to these cosmic entities. They learned how the architects had helped guide human evolution long ago, seeing potential for humans to one day join them as stewards of reality itself. Jack looked at the defeated aliens, then at the cosmic beings around them. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now we rebuild," one of the architects answered. "The damage done to your world will be repaired. The Zilarians will depart. Those who wish to learn the ways of peace may return as guests, not conquerors." Kate pointed to the sky where more strange forms were appearing. "Are those more of your kind?" "Yes," the architect replied. "Your call has awakened many who slumbered. The cosmic covenant is reestablished. Humanity will once again walk the path toward your greater destiny." Alan took Samantha's hand. "And what is that destiny?" The architect's form shifted, showing patterns that somehow conveyed both great age and immense possibilities. "To become like us, in time. To help shape stars and guide life. To be bridges between dimensions. This was always your path. Across the planet, the Zilarian machines that had been changing Earth's atmosphere shut down. The labor camps emptied. Ships full of human captives returned from distant planets. The hegemony's 50,000 years of unchallenged rule ended in a single day. News spread quickly through the galaxy. Other enslaved species learned of Earth's unlikely victory, of humans who had somehow summoned the legendary architects back to the physical universe. Of the fall of the mighty hegemony not to weapons or armies, but to beings of such power that they could rewrite reality itself. And it had all begun with an ancient ritual, discovered in the desert by a determined archaeologist, who refused to give up hope. 6 months passed since the day the architects returned to our universe. Earth had changed in ways no one could have imagined. The damage from the Zilarian occupation was being repaired at an amazing speed. Where alien mining operations had scarred the land, new forests now grew. The poisoned air cleared, the oceans healed. The architects helped humans rebuild their world. They shared knowledge freely, though much of it was still beyond human understanding. Giant structures floated in the sky above major cities, dimensional anchors that allowed the architects to maintain their presence in our reality. These anchors looked like enormous crystals that changed colors throughout the day. They became a normal part of Earth's skyline. Alan and Lisa now worked together at a new research center in Colorado. The old resistance base had been transformed into the First Dimensional Studies Institute. Scientists from all over the world came to learn about the architects and the cosmic knowledge they offered. "I still can't believe how much has changed," Alan said as he and Lisa studied data from the dimensional anchors. "A year ago, we were slaves. Now we're learning secrets of the universe." Lisa nodded. The ancient texts only hinted at what the architects really are. Every day we discover something new. The institute was built around the original array that had helped summon the architects. That array was now much larger and more complex. The architects had helped humans improve it, making it a permanent connection between dimensions. Samantha entered the lab wearing a new type of uniform. After the liberation, she had been chosen to lead Earth's first diplomatic corps. Her job was to represent humanity in meetings with other species. "How was the conference?" Alan asked his wife. "Amazing," Samantha replied. Representatives from 24 former hegemony worlds came to discuss the new alliance. They all want to learn how we contacted the architects. Meanwhile, Jack and Kate prepared for their most important mission yet. They stood in a hangar looking at a sleek new ship. It wasn't built by human hands. The architects had created it, specifically for this journey. The Starbridge. Kate said, running her hand along the ship's smooth surface. First human vessel to travel beyond our solar system. Jack checked the equipment they would take. Hard to believe they chose us for this. We're soldiers, not diplomats. That's exactly why they chose us, Kate replied. We understand risk, and this mission has plenty of it. Their mission was historic. They would travel to the former capital of the Zalarian hegemony. There, they would establish the first official contact between free humans and the new Zalarian government. They would carry a message from the architects, a blueprint for a new galactic society based on cooperation instead of conquest. The next morning, people gathered to watch the Starbridge launch. The ship rose silently into the air, surrounded by a field of energy that shimmered like flowing water. In moments, it vanished from sight, traveling faster than light in ways that defied old physics. As Earth rebuilt, strange visitors began to arrive. Ships from distant worlds came to see the planet that had brought back the architects. Some came out of curiosity. Others came seeking help or offering friendship. Earth became a center of interstellar diplomacy almost overnight. Not all humans welcomed these changes. Some feared the architects and their powers. Others worried that humanity would lose its independence, trading one form of control for another. Groups formed to protest the new order. They called themselves Earth First and demanded that aliens leave their world. Lisa found herself explaining the situation to these groups often. The architects aren't our new masters, she would tell them. They're our oldest allies. They don't want to control us. They want us to grow. At the Dimensional Studies Institute, a young student named Ryan watched Alan work with complex equations on a holographic display. Ryan had been a teenager when the Zalarians came. He had lost his parents in the resistance. Now he studied the new sciences with fierce determination. Will we really become like them someday? Ryan asked Alan. Like the architects? Alan paused his work. That's what they say. Not soon. It might take thousands of years. But they see potential in us that we can't see in ourselves yet. What makes us special? Ryan pressed. Out of all the species in the galaxy, why humans? Alan considered the question. Lisa believes it's our creativity, our ability to imagine things that don't exist yet and then make them real. The architects say we dream in ways similar to how they shape reality. In space, the Starbridge emerged near the Zalarian homeworld. Jack and Kate saw a planet much like Earth, but with strange purple oceans and 3 small moons. A fleet of ships approached them, but not with weapons ready. These were diplomatic vessels sent to escort the first human representatives. Ready? Jack asked Kate, as they prepared to transmit their arrival message. Kate nodded. As ready as anyone can be to help rewrite the rules of galactic civilization. On Earth, in a quiet moment between meetings, Lisa visited the ancient chamber in the Gobi Desert where she had first discovered the ritual. The place had been preserved as a historic site. The old symbols glowed softly now, energized by the architect's presence on Earth. She ran her fingers over the carvings that had led to humanity's salvation. Thank you, she whispered to whoever had created this place thousands of years ago. That night, people all over Earth looked up at new stars appearing in the sky. These weren't truly stars, but dimensional beacons as more architects returned to our reality. Each beacon represented another cosmic entity awakening from long slumber, drawn by the call that had gone out from Earth. In his office at the Institute, Alan received a message from the Starbridge. The diplomatic mission had been successful. The former hegemony worlds had agreed to form a new alliance, one based on the principles the architects had shared. Humanity would have a central role in this alliance, serving as bridges between the cosmic entities and other species. We did it, Alan told Samantha that evening as they watched the dimensional beacons shine overhead. We not only saved Earth, we changed the galaxy. Samantha smiled. And this is just the beginning. High above them, the architects continued their work, guiding humanity toward a destiny among the stars that had been waiting for them since the dawn of time. The species that had faced extinction now stood at the threshold of cosmic citizenship. Earth was no longer just a small blue planet on the edge of an average galaxy. It was the homeworld of the species that had brought back the most powerful entities in existence. The species that had caused a galactic empire to surrender, not through force, but by remembering their oldest friends in the universe.